A bunch of you told me to check out the Xiaomi's new dual-driver in-ear earphones, and yeah, let's get to it. So throughout this video, I'll be comparing these earphones to the likes of the PTron Boom 2 and the Boom 3, which are also dual-driver earphones, as well as the Realme Buds 2, like some of you asked me. Now, there isn't much to comment on the unboxing other than to say that it was very unconventional. I've never seen earphones wrapped around in a plastic bag like this. They've always been arranged in a very neat manner so that the individual earbuds are always stuck to a piece of plastic. Xiaomi has taken a very minimalist approach here, and I'm not sure if I like it though. They come all swirled up in a resealable bag inside, and there is this huge compartment which just holds the replacement ear tips. Really? These two huge compartments are the same size for the earphones and the ear tips themselves. I guess the packaging would have been done in a different way to make it more appealing, but I guess at the end of the day you're just bothered about the earphones, so no one really cares about the packaging and the presentation that much these days. So the first impressions are very good. The earphones feel very high quality and they're already a step up in the right direction as compared to Petron's dual driver offerings. Where Petron went with the basic and cheap plastic materials, Xiaomi has gone through and through with the high quality plastic and metal. Similar to what we get on the Realme Buds 2, there are magnets on the back and with a very interesting back design. If you notice, one of the earbuds have a convex surface and the other ones have a concave surface. That's very interesting. I've never noticed this design being done anywhere else, and it does serve a purpose. Even when you're picking up these earphones in the dark without even looking at them, just by feeling the back surface, you can tell which one is the left earbud and which one is the right earbud. The left one has a convex surface and the right one has a concave one, so you can just feel them and put them in your ear without having to fiddle around with them later. And other than the satisfaction that these magnets give, there really is no other purpose. Just like the Realme Buds 2, they don't pause the music or anything. They're just there to keep the earbuds together and not have them tangle around so much. But unfortunately, even though they claim that this is a tangle-free cable and everything, and it does feel like a very high-quality braided cable, it does get tangled up very easily. It literally took me 30 seconds to get them tangled up like this. So yeah, that tangled-free claim is something that you'll have to take with a grain of salt. Similar to the Realme Buds 2 again, the braided cable ends at the intersection of these two earbuds, and the individual earbuds themselves have a normal round plastic cable. So if there is a chance of cables getting damaged, it's up here. I'm happy to see a right angle connector here, and it definitely is a higher quality one compared to the Realme Buds 2 because they have just a vertical connector and it's made of rather cheap quality plastic in comparison to this. And on top of that, it's a gold plated plug, meaning that it's supposed to reduce static noise if it's present in your device. So if you're plugging this into your laptop and you have connected your laptop to the power outlet, and in case your building's wiring is faulty, you won't be hearing any of the electric or static noise in your earphones thanks to this gold plated plug. And speaking of the ear tips, these things were surprisingly comfortable. I never had to change any of the ear tips, and just like the Realme Buds 2 and the Petron Boom 3, these fit me perfectly. Now the only part which feels kind of cheap in the Xiaomi dual driver earphones is the volume controls here. This part, which has the microphone and the buttons, is made of a glossy finished plastic, and you know how I feel about glossy finished plastic. I'm not a fan. And even these buttons don't have very good tactile feedback to them. They feel almost hollow, and I guess this is the major part where Xiaomi had to cut some corners. But cutting the cost doesn't really justify the 800 rupees price tag that these come in, so I'm not sure why Xiaomi gave such low quality buttons here. Thankfully though, the microphone is pretty good. I used them for a phone call yesterday when I was in a cab, and the other party could hear me fairly well. It did a decent job of blocking out the external wind noise and stuff. So these are very good for phone calls, like most other wired earphones are. Now let's get to the important part, the sound quality. Since these are dual driver earphones, naturally people will expect them to sound way better than single driver earphones, and companies like this will strengthen your assumptions that two drivers are better than one. While that is true in a certain way, it's not entirely accurate. See, there are many types of earphone drivers like balanced armature and dynamic drivers. These earphones have two dynamic drivers. Dynamic drivers are also called moving coil drivers, and they are the lowest quality, cheapest drivers that most of the earphones have out there. The actual high quality earphones out there will have a balanced armature driver which can be tuned to a specific frequency using an equalizer. These are dynamic drivers, meaning that they don't respond to a particular frequency, and both of the drivers are literally giving you the same sound, but they are two separate units. But thankfully that's still good enough because two drivers are in a way better than one. The speakers with two driver units can produce a wider soundstage because the drivers are spaced apart. Similarly, the earphones with two dynamic drivers, even though it's not as high quality as a balanced armature driver, can produce a wider soundstage, similar to what we saw with the Petron Boom 2 and the Petron Boom 3. So any kind of audio which is stereo, like 99% of the content that you watch right now is stereo audio which has a left and right channel, that will sound much wider and more lively than compared to a single driver earphone. So yeah, these are definitely an upgrade compared to your normal earphones, but unfortunately they are not as high quality and high end as companies lead you to believe. But in short, compared to the Realme Buds 2, these are definitely a step in the right direction and are definitely an improvement. Where Realme claims that they have somehow tuned the single dynamic driver to only respond to bass more, these claim to be more uniform dynamic drivers which respond to all frequencies evenly, like a dynamic driver is supposed to do. And that was my experience as well. Though I noticed that the two drivers are slightly harder to drive because you have to crank up the volume even more, the sound quality compared to the Realme Buds was a lot more ear-pleasing and a lot more natural, which I like personally. So the Realme Buds 2 are going for $599. PTron Boom 3 is going for $549 and these are going for $799. Which one should you go for? Well, if you just want a clean dual driver experience and you want that wider soundstage without too much emphasis on bass, I still highly recommend the PTron Boom 3. It's not only cheaper, but it's also equally good as the Xiaomi dual driver earphones. But if you want something that's slightly higher quality but also has twin dynamic drivers and of course magnets, then these dual driver earphones are a very good option to look into. So that leaves almost no reason for you to go to the Realme Buds 2. They are still very good pair of earphones, but compared to these, they don't hold up their value as much. So I guess that's the final verdict. If you're on the lookout for a wired earphone with a very good soundstage and very good sound quality, and if you're on a budget, PTron Boom 3 is still my top recommendation. But if you have a lot of budget to spare, up to 800 rupees, then the Mi dual driver earphones are my new favorites. So those are all my thoughts and experiences with the Mi dual driver earphones and how they compare to the PTron Boom 3 and Realme Buds 2. If you have any further questions, please drop them in the comments down below. Check out my other channel and stay tuned to this channel for more content like this. And with that, until next time, take it easy and I'll see you soon.